Okay, guys, lovely to see you. Because this week is all about elicitation collaboration, I thought it would be quite useful for us to have a quick look at the technique workshops. So let me share my screen with you, and I'll just run through some of the key points in the BABOK guide about workshops that you need to be aware of. Okay, so let's have a look here at workshops. So according to the BABOK guide, this is when we bring stakeholders together in order to collaborate on achieving a predefined goal. So we can use workshops for many different purposes, and I'm sure that you've got lots of experience of being involved in different types of workshops that's all got different goals. However, for the purposes of elicitation, we often use workshops as a very effective technique to confirm elicitation or to do elicitation from scratch. So it's all about elicitation of requirements. But you can also use workshops for scoping, modeling, planning, or simply idea generation. So predominantly, there are certain aspects to a workshop that you need to know about. One of those are the goal. It's always important to have a clear goal for your workshop. Naturally, you need people to attend the workshop. So who will your stakeholders be? Then you've got the workshop itself, where you do a lot of interactions and collaborative work. The workshop will have a defined output or a work product that comes out of it. And then, of course, every workshop needs a facilitator. And the business analyst can often be the facilitator, but sometimes it may be someone else, and the business analyst take a different role. So let's have a look at the elements, according to the BABOK guide, of a workshop. So every workshop will have some preparation, and we'll have a quick look at what that might look like. There's certain defined roles that every workshop should have. Then, of course, there's some aspects to consider when you conduct the actual workshop, and some post-workshop wrap-up activities that you need to know about. So let's start with the element preparation. So here it's about defining that goal. Be clear about why are we having this workshop? What is the purpose? Who will be the facilitator and who will be the scribe? Ideally, these will be two different individuals. Otherwise, you might miss some valuable information. Who will be the participants? So which stakeholders will be important to include? And that will link back to the goal. Of course, you need to define an agenda. And remember, the bigger a workshop is, the more structure you need to give your workshop for it to run smoothly. It's a tip that you should remember. The more planning you put in, or rather the bigger your workshop, the more planning you need to put in. And then what will your outputs be? So be very clear about that. And then, of course, it's all about scheduling the workshop, inviting people to participate, and organize the logistics. So that's all about preparation for your workshop. Now, the key roles of a workshop. The sponsor is listed here, although the sponsor is not really a participant as such, but the sponsor is ultimately responsible for all of the work that you produce on your initiative. So it's good to kind of keep track of them. Participants, they are the stakeholders that's going to contribute to the output of the workshop. You need a timekeeper. So a timekeeper is just to make sure that you can keep track of what's happening. Now, the timekeeper can also be the scribe, for example. So it doesn't have to be an individual as such. Then you've got the scribe. Sometimes this might be the business analyst, if it's the business analyst is not also the facilitator. And then you've got the facilitator that simply focuses on making sure you work according to the plan and the agenda of the workshop and get discussion flowing in the direction that it was planned for. So those are the key roles of a workshop. Now, the third element of workshops, it's about conducting the workshop. So here are just a few things to keep in mind during the workshop itself. One is invite people to contribute their opinions and respect those opinions. And everybody should also respect each other's opinions. Make sure that everybody contribute. So you can do this using different ways or different techniques. As a facilitator, the facilitator should make sure that they include everyone in different ways to give a contribution. Agree in your workshop how we'll make decisions. And remember to focus on the issues, not on the people. So it's about the particular issue, independent of who is involved or responsible for the issues. And if people get off topic, something that happens quite often and very easily, make sure that this is time boxed. So let it go for a little bit, but then make sure that your facilitator steers people back in a timely fashion onto the agenda. And then the very last element around workshops is simply about the wrap-up activities. Now, you've put all this work in, everybody participated, there was a great success, but you really now need to go and do that extra bit of effort of completing all the documentation and go and follow up on any agreed open action items. And a great idea is to always send a thank you email with some next steps out to your participants. Okay, so over to you. Now that technique was a very brief technique, but we all use workshops very often. And what I tend to tell people that I train in a bit more detail around this technique is keep in mind that you've got different types of personalities in your workshop, different people with different perspectives, and those people all have their own objectives and things that they need to achieve. So try and find out what those things are and try and find a way to add value with what you're doing to their individual goals. Okay, so now let's put it over to you. How do you actually do your workshops at the moment? Do you do all your requirement elicitation in the format of workshops? Do you not really do workshops? Do you, as the business analyst, do the facilitation of the workshops? So share some of those different variations on workshops with us in the Facebook group. Let's share some good practices, some challenges, and some maybe lessons that you've learned the hard way so that we can all learn from each other. Great. And of course, as always, if there's a point that you think we need to know for the exam, raise it in the Facebook group as well. But yes, thank you very much for this. We'll talk soon.